All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are diving deep into one of the biggest challenges for any entrepreneur. How do you take that little spark of an idea and actually turn it into a successful, thriving product? This is the masterclass.
So, you've got it. That idea. The one that keeps you up at night. The one you think could be huge. But here's the real question. Is it a true game changer or is it just a flash in the pan? That's what we're here to figure out. We're going to build the exact framework to get you that answer.
I want you to think of this whole process as a journey. Seriously, you're starting with just a single seed. That's your idea. And with the right strategy, the right research, you carefully nurture it, and you watch it grow into something strong, something that can last. This is the founder's journey. And here's our roadmap for that journey. It's got 5 critical stages. First, we'll make sure your product idea is a winner. Then we'll scout out the competition. After that, we'll figure out what makes you special. Then we'll plan for profit. And finally, we'll cover the really important stuff, the risks and the rules. It's a clear path from A to Z. Okay, first things first, finding that winning product. Look, before you even think about spending a single dime on manufacturing or development, you have to do the hard work up front to prove that this brilliant idea of yours is actually a viable concept. Does it have real potential in the market? Let's visualize the goal here, a successful launch. That's the bullseye. But you don't just hit it by chance. You have to work your way through 5 distinct layers of evaluation to even get a clear shot. Trust me, this isn't about luck, it's about being methodical and disciplined. So, how do we build towards that bullseye? Well, here are those 5 layers, broken down. We start really broad, trying to predict future demand. Then we zoom in, using keyword analysis to see what people are actually searching for online. From there, we look at long-term growth, find that unique angle that makes us different, and all of that, step by step, builds toward the final goal, the launch. And believe me, it gets even more granular than that. A great product is a massive balancing act. It's so easy to get fixated on the flashy numbers, like monthly revenue potential. But the real secret? It's in the tiny details. Something as boring as product size and weight can absolutely destroy your profit margins with shipping costs. This is the moment a cool idea gets real and becomes a viable business. All right, so you've done the work, you've confirmed your idea has legs. Awesome. Now it's time to analyze the battlefield. You have to get a crystal clear picture of the world you're about to step into, and that means knowing your customers and your competitors inside and out. And this leads to maybe the most fundamental question you'll have to answer. Are you about to walk into a market where there's room to grow with low competition? Or is it so crowded, so saturated, that it's almost impossible for a new person to get noticed? Your answer here could literally make or break your entire business. Now, this whole analysis is a two-sided coin. On one side, you've got to be looking outward, just dissecting your competition. What are their specs, their prices? What are customers saying in their reviews? The good, the bad, and the ugly. But at the exact same time, you have to be looking inward at your future customers. You need to be obsessed with their reviews, their questions, even what other products they buy. That's where you'll find their real needs. So, once you've scouted the terrain and you know the lay of the land, it's time to plot your move. This is all about strategy. See, it's not enough to just show up in a market. You have to know exactly how you're going to stand out from the crowd and win. The classic starting point here, for good reason, is the SWOT analysis. You're mapping your internal strengths and weaknesses against the external opportunities and threats. But let me tell you where people mess this up. You have to be brutally, painfully honest with yourself, especially about your weaknesses. Ignoring a flaw doesn't make it go away, it just turns it into a blind spot that's going to cause you huge problems down the line. And when you do that honest SWOT analysis, it points you directly to the biggest question of all. How are you going to be different? Your entire strategy has to be built on using your unique strengths to grab those market opportunities in a way that nobody else can. That's how you carve out your own space. And generally, there are 4 main ways to do that. You can be functionally superior. Your product just works better. It's faster, it's stronger. You could stand out visually with a design that's just beautiful and impossible to ignore. Maybe you create a unique bundle, offering way more value in one package. Or, and this one is powerful, you can differentiate emotionally, building a brand story that connects with people on a deeper level. A unique product is great, but you know what's better? A unique and profitable product. That's a real business. So let's shift gears now from the big strategic idea to the cold, hard numbers that will actually decide if you succeed or fail.
Look, a solid financial plan is so much more than a spreadsheet you make once. It's a living, breathing cycle of forecasting sales, planning your budget, and here's the part so many people skip, doing real-world testing to see if your guesses are right before you bet the farm.
So let's break that down. Of course, you create forecasts for sales, and you plan your budget based on how much demand you expect. But then you must test. Run A/B tests on your marketing copy. Set up some small pre-launch pay-per-click ads to see if people actually click. Analyze different product variations to see what gets people excited. Don't just guess, go find out for sure. We are now at the final stage of our journey, the last few critical checkpoints you have to clear before you launch. This is where you triple-check the fine print, you plan for things that could go wrong, and you make absolutely sure you're ready to operate legally and safely. Every single product out there faces risks, but knowing what they are ahead of time is your best weapon. If your sales are seasonal, you need a plan for the off-season. You absolutely have to do your homework on patents, or you could face a legal nightmare. And you need a plan from day one for how you're going to handle customer reviews, because your reputation is everything. And beyond risks, there are rules. And let me be clear, this part is completely non-negotiable. Depending on what you're selling, there are very specific safety and quality certifications you have to get. Selling electronics, you're probably looking at things like an FCC certification. Beauty products, you're dealing with the FDA. Getting this wrong doesn't just cost you money. It can get you shut down before you've even started. So, after all of that, when you boil this entire process down, what's it really about? It's these 4 things. You have to validate that people actually want what you're selling. You have to assess if it can be profitable. You need to analyze if it can scale and grow, and you absolutely have to check for compliance. If you master these 4, you've built a rock-solid foundation for success. Which brings us right to the end of our journey today. The research is finished, the strategy is set, the risks have been considered. There's really only one question left to ask. Are you ready to launch?